Hey guys, welcome back to Cringeworthy Overland. This is Paul. This time around, I'm going to be reviewing the new Veeniix V11PRO Drone at a very special spot in Arizona. Here's a little hint. Oh, stick around for more. So, a great honor has been bestowed upon me. The task of reviewing the new V11PRO drone from Veeniix and the associated functions of the Veeniix Fly app. The good news is I've flown many different drones over the last 10 years in the course of my photography and video making, so I have what every reviewer should have: perspective. I've never flown a drone from Veeniix before, so I'm really eager to get this one out of the box. The first step is to take the plastic film off the box with a small pocket knife. This should do. Alright, let's see what's inside the box. Ah, look at this. A really nice zippered, semi-rigid case. Inside the case, we have the Veeniix V11PRO drone, the remote controller, a spare battery. These are all the nicely wrapped accessories. The instruction manuals, different types of cables to attach your mobile device to the remote control, a set of spare propellers, USB-C charging cables for the battery and the remote. There's the extra battery fully unwrapped. You'll screw the joysticks into the remote control, and look at that, you've got a spare set of joysticks attached to the bottom of the remote control. And you know what to do with these silica packets. If you're like me, you're going to want to leave the protective film on all of the screens and lenses, like the grandma who leaves the couch cushions saran wrapped year-round. But I assure you, everything will work better if you take the protective film off of the sensors and lenses. Don't forget to insert your micro SD card up to 128 gigs. To get the drone ready for flight, take off the propeller holder, remove the gimbal cover, unfold the arms, and remember to deploy the landing gear. Download the Veeniix Fly app for your smartphone and attach your phone to the remote with the appropriate cable. Let's fly! To do the flight test, I've chosen one of my favorite spots for photo and video, the Little Painted Desert, just north of Winslow, Arizona. This walkway is clearly not in use anymore. Pour me a heaping bowl of dilapidatios. You're a very brave cat. There we go. What a view. A little steep for your taste. Oh my gosh, that's too far. Miso, come back. Miso. Miso, come back. That's too far. Come back. Good kitty. Just look at this landscape. Can't wait to fly here. Here are the key features of this drone: a 3-axis brushless gimbal and electronic image stabilization. Awesome! The flight time is a whopping 40 minutes. Tell me more. The photo resolution is 8K. You don't say. The video resolution is 4K at 30 frames per second or Full HD at 60 frames per second. Keep 'em coming. It has a 1/2-inch image sensor for greater clarity. Sweetness. A TOF sensor for more stable landings. And the app can manually adjust the camera parameters. Just look at this drone. It's got some clean lines. It looks sleek yet sturdy, and the design just instills confidence in the user. One peculiar quirk is that before every single flight, you have to calibrate the drone by spinning it on 2 different axes. This adds about 30 seconds to the workflow. Usually not a big deal, but I could see some situations where this might hold you back from a timely shot. Once you get past that, getting the V11 Pro started and taking off is not very different from any other drone. What I really care about is how good is the footage that the V11 Pro produces. I'm happy to say that it looks great. There's tons of detail in here, and the natural color profile is nice and flat, which lends itself well to color grading after the fact. This is what the footage looks like after I've graded it to look like the rest of my videos. Flying the V11 Pro definitely takes some getting used to. The control sticks are extremely sensitive. There are 3 different speed modes you can fly in, but it seems that in any of those 3 speeds, turning left and right is just as sensitive. There doesn't seem to be a way to customize the sensitivity of the sticks, and likewise the gimbal control is just as sensitive and lacks customization. Because I was unable to achieve smooth cinematic pans and tilts in my moving shots, I found myself just wanting to fly and film in a straight line most of the time. One thing I noticed was that if I faced the drone a certain way relative to the sun, I could actually see the shadow of the propellers in the footage itself. This definitely cuts down on the number of clips that I would be able to use. While the combined flight time of the 2 drone batteries is 80 minutes, it appears that the remote battery life is shorter, so I'm going to have to cut this second flight short. Let's turn our attention to taking still photos. You can do that either by pressing the physical shutter button on the remote control or the virtual shutter button on the app screen like I'm showing you here. It takes over 6 seconds to capture a photo, so be patient. These are large files. But look at that, oodles of rich color and detail. Weirdly though, the photos that are stored to the memory card have a lot wider of a perspective than what you see on the app preview screen. This is what you see on the app preview, and this is the final photo. Here's another example. In the final photo, there's a lot more on all sides of the image. It seems like this is the perspective that you're seeing in the preview. Thankfully, all of the photo information is in there, so you can always crop after the fact to get the composition you want. Even though the V11 Pro lacks conventional camera controls like shutter speed and ISO, you can still control how the picture looks with this menu here. You can adjust contrast, saturation, which affects how vivid the colors are, exposure, which affects the brightness of your image. You can manually adjust sharpness, and you can manually adjust white balance, which determines how cool or warm your image looks. On a couple of my flights, I found that the flight gauges would get stuck. This row here represents the distance from the home point, the height above the home point, the horizontal speed, and the vertical speed. You'll notice that despite the fact that I'm moving, these gauges don't change. Thankfully, the compass still worked, so I was able to guide myself back home, and I decided it was time to land because I was getting a little worried. And even as I'm landing, the gauges still remain at their stuck value from before. On another flight, I tried to get all the way across these badlands, but I found that I was stuck at 6,260 feet and the drone wouldn't move any further. I checked my flight parameter settings and my max flight distance was set to the highest limit, 19,686. Despite that, the drone wouldn't go any further and I had to turn around and go back. I had the chance to test out 2 of the automated flight programs, Image Follow and GPS Follow. In Image Follow, the aircraft camera will slowly rotate to follow the target. I don't know if I was doing something wrong. The manual has no information about this, but the drone was never able to lock onto me as the target, no matter what I tried to do. Thankfully, I had better luck in the GPS Follow mode. In this mode, the aircraft will lock onto the user's phone and track user's movement. The V11 Pro did a commendable job of following me as I walked along the trail. I couldn't even fool the drone with a flurry of my patented dance moves. However, when I tried to move the drone off to the side so that it would trace me in parallel like other drones can do, it seemed to get a little bit lost. So the app is interesting. It's easy to use and figure out, but I'm not sure all of the features are quite there yet in terms of reliability. In summation, this is what I really like about the V11 Pro. It's a sturdy design that comes well packaged with a whole bunch of extras that other drones would have you purchase separately, such as a spare battery and spare propellers. It's got a super long flight time on each battery, and on those long flights, the cruise control is a really nice feature, so you don't have to keep the joystick pushed forward the whole time. And this is what I wish was different. The battery life of the remote control is a little short. It can't quite make it through the 2 drone batteries that are provided with the Veeniix V11 Pro. So if you want to use both of the batteries that are provided in the same session, you'll probably end up returning home before you fully utilize that second battery. And I wish there was a way to change the sensitivity of the joysticks and the gimbal control. Both felt a little bit abrupt, so during filming it was hard to get those smooth cinematic movements. Well, I hope you've appreciated this honest review of the Veeniix V11 Pro drone. You've listened to me drone on about this drone, now you go drone on with your drone. See you next time!